Well, I'll just make sure to pause every single time you speak. So I guess the best way to do this is probably for me to talk to you while the round's going on, and then I'll pause. So I guess the best way to do this is probably for me to talk to you while the round's going on, and then I'll pause intermittently to get input. So I'm not sure if I did this sabotage or not, but... So typically as imposter, I should probably just get that kill, because Swizny's kind of free, but as is, it's fine.
Just send him the VOD numpty.
Okay.
So, what do you think of that one right now?
So, did you actually go in the vent there, right or did you
I did,
just...
but let's replay it real quick. One second. And instead of entering the vent, I opened up my imposter screen, and I wasn't able to actually enter the vent until way later.
So you are presumably I mean, from my perspective, my assumption of what could reasonably happen from here is that you are at best in a 50-50 with XQC.
Yes, that's what should be happening here, right?
Okay.
But
something else is going to happen, is
happening here. Let's go through this discussion period real quick.
Okay, just a sec.
Period real quick.
Okay, I'm good to go.
Who is it?
Who?
I saw you vent. Come on, man.
I'm good to go.
Is he trying to bait?
I have a feeling whoever it is, I think I know who it is too, and they're gonna get double pinned.
Okay, so whoever it is, I'm pretty sure Bloody is second killer.
Wait, why?
Because you're acting so weird above. It's like you know something's
It's
down
because
there.
I saw you running from up top, so I was checking to see if there's a body up there because I don't know why anyone runs.
This is not Yeti.
Nope.
McConnell. It's not me. And somebody just hopped in the vent right in front of me, and he had like dark pants. Also, I was trying to get him, but I didn't see him entirely. But he went melee range while I hopped in the vent.
Where you? Which vent invented to where?
Navigation, upper vent.
Gotcha.
Oh. Never mind. I don't have good info for
I'm guessing the second body is right under it, and it's Bloody's kill.
No.
But
wait.
Swizz, where you at?
Sounds good to me.
Cafeteria.
No, you're not.
I am.
No, you're not.
Well, I am.
Well, I switched the place before we went there. Wait, what? He's going. Yeah. I mean,
I'm on cams right now.
Wait, what?
I just went in cams. I didn't get on the cams, but I'm in camera room right now.
Okay.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Blast, you literally walked right, and I went left.
There's no way you made it to cams. Really?
I am in camera room right now. That's so dumb.
Shields. I came from admin.
You know what? There's no way. I'm not gonna fall for this shit right now. I can't deal with it. Blastos, where you at right
now? Wait,
I'm walking up through storage, coming away from electric. I just don't know if Easy Rod could have made it to the cams.
Annie and Bloody. It has to be.
All right, I'm gonna vote Bloody first. I'm voting Bloody first.
Through admin.
I'm voting Annie first, actually.
Oh,
no,
really?
No, you're not.
No.
Okay. Bloody is doing circles.
I walked through admin. I saw 2 people there.
I'm telling you, you guys are okay.
That was fantastic.
All right, that was one of the craziest meetings that I've ever watched. Did he ask you where you were?
No, he didn't. He just cleared me. I was like, it can't be Yeti, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally clear, man.
He asked one imposter and 4 different town where they were, and then told them all that they were wrong.
Yep. It was just fantastic. It was one of the greatest meeting dominations I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm just sitting
If he
back,
were
like,
imposter right now, like, wow. He can just walk up to navigation, kill someone, say someone vented but he didn't see them, accuse 5 different town, tell them their alibis are wrong, and and then kill one of them.
That's actually the number one thing you have to fight against when you're playing with xQc in your lobby. It's not that he dominates people that have lower view counts, which I think is the live stream fail explanation for what goes on, but rather that he dominates people that don't have strong personalities. So for me specifically, when I'm playing as Town, I need to fight him on everything, just in case he's wrong, because it's so hard to figure out whether or not he's doing his typical, like, I'm going to clear 5 people and then vote 1 person and then everyone's going to sheep vote. You have to fight against that all the time against him. It makes him a very dangerous player to play into, actually.
Right. The thing that I say with this is that there are people where I can't tell if they are second or third imposter. It's just unclear to me, and so almost everything they say I have to fight against.
Yep. You'll also find that when he's playing as Town, I'm not joking. He will eventually accuse almost everyone in the town. It will just go down the list, and everyone will be accused, and he uses social cues to eventually determine who's likely the most sus person, in addition to all the other sweaty stuff that he does. So it's very hard to play into as an imposter. I was shell-shocked that I got away with that.
What is the best way to respond to a nonsense accusation as an imposter?
A nonsense accusation?
Someone just accusing you of something when there's actually no evidence at all that you did it.
Well, I've actually have to work on this, but I know the theory of what I'm supposed to do. In theory, the best thing that you can do is to deny it without using any imposter words. Like saying, I didn't vent is bad. Do not say that. I didn't vent means that you have access to the vent button. Even though a lot of people don't call you out for that, it's actually a very big tell. Also saying, I didn't kill, and there's no way. Instead, you use language like, I was inside of reactor doing my task. I was nowhere near there. What do you mean? And then you use other things like mini meta discussions aren't a super bad way of saying it. Like 5UP uses that occasionally to try to get his way out of certain things, like saying, I wouldn't kill right there. I'm right next to the body. Or why wouldn't I just vent away if I was imposter, you know? Those kind of arguments that where you hard deflect the conversation in a direction from like, this is obviously someone else. How could it possibly be me? Are also effective ways of getting sus off of yourself.
For sure.
The number one thing you want to avoid is saying, I didn't kill or I didn't vent. Never say that, because that is the number one way of finding somebody who's imposter, but maybe didn't do those things, but definitely is imposter.
Something I massively pick up on, I don't never from you or from people who are super experienced, but I pick up from newer players, they'll have this fairly structured alibi. They'll actually remember more about the tasks they did than seems reasonable as crew. As crew, I'm not thinking that much about which tasks I do, right? I'm just clicking on them. And then around the time that the kill happened, there will be a gap for 10 seconds. And they'll just be very vague about that. And then, for the rest of the round, they tell you everything again.
Also, in an unironic kind of way, using the no you deflection is not bad as imposter. When somebody starts to question you like that, say things like, wait, where were you? What do you mean, where was I? Where were you? What were you doing? I didn't see you at all. And then depending on their alibi, you can filibuster the meeting long enough that it goes to a point where people are not confident and have to skip. That's the most important thing as a imposter. You want to get the town feeling like they don't really know what's going on. Even if they have suspicion on you, that doesn't mean they're going to vote you. It's when you try to play it a little bit too hard that they get much more suspicious, and then run it on you, and then you get voted off.
Yeah, I think we talked right toward the beginning of this call about how when you're leading a meeting as Town, you don't want to directly accuse people because it sidetracks the meeting so heavily. And so
when you're an imposter, you can use that to your advantage and kind of push it against them.
That's that no you deflection, right? I also think I've noticed that strongly making a case for it being someone else is a very powerful thing to do when you are suspicious, whether you are imposter or Town. For some reason, if you make a strong, fairly logical case for somebody else, even if you have suspicion on you, people just sort of believe you. and they like seeing you do it, like they trust you more, like, oh yeah, you're suspicious, but town would be thinking this way as well, so you must be town. And it just seems like sort of very free.
It's all about creating a logical circumstance by which you can push town to not wanting to vote or to wanting to vote somebody else. The best thing to do would be to not vote at all, because when you vote somebody else, there's a chance that if you get an accidental double kill the next round, they'll know that all of a sudden all of your information was no longer good, and therefore you're in a suspicious place. It's a bunch of questions thrown through the air, because if you get a double kill and the person that you sussed the previous round is still alive, you can use that as an alibi for why it can't be you or any of that other stuff. But if you get them voted out, maybe the game has to go one of two ways, which is either you get like 3 kills the next round, and then you just like muddy comms and hopefully get people to vote the wrong direction or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. If there are 2 imposters in the game, those 2 people will presumably be suspicious at some point. And if you can make a third person suspicious and then not kill them, you don't have to worry about making a 4th person suspicious, because that third person can be the one that you frame toward the end of the game or whatever.
Yeah. And then in those circumstances, depending on how suspicious you are, that's when you have to consider bussing. That's when you consider bussing your imposter crewmate and say, "Yo, I think it's my imposter duo guy, and then this other guy that we sussed the round before." And then when you effectively throw them under the bus there, you might be able to push the vote towards the person that you were suspicious of the round before, and then get the vote off, and then be like, "We're voting this other guy next. We should win." Boom, double kill.
Have you ever successfully done the thing where there are 3 suspicious people and 2 of them fight, and then some incredibly logical town person says, well, those 2 people clearly aren't in the team, so we should actually vote for the third person who's suspicious, who must be imposter? Have you ever successfully done that where you're the imposter pair fighting?
Yes. Oh wait, what was imposter pair? Ooh.
Like you are the imposter pair fighting, and you get the crew voted off that way?
That was the game. I asked my chat about this earlier. I want them to find it. It was the game I played on Mira, where I actually threw my imposter partner under the bus so hard that when we got him voted out, we got the other person voted out as well. They still voted him at the end of the day, but we got both thrown out because of the argument I had with my imposter duo. And then I was supposedly cleared for the rest of the game.
Nice.
it doesn't. I have never had a circumstance where both imposters fight so hard against each other that we managed to get the third person that's suspicious somehow thrown out. I feel like that's like a really strong strat, and I kind of want to do that at some point, but I haven't managed to pull it off yet.
You need the right town in the lobby, because they have to be able to make that deduction that if you are not on a team, then that third person who isn't saying anything is clearly teamed with whichever one of you is imposter.
Yeah, I actually think that xQc is one of the best people to do that against, because he looks into that all the time. He loves to find people that are supporting each other and then kind of suss both out at the same time. All right. Let's keep playing it. This next round is pretty boring, but there's something interesting that happens at the end of it. Still can't believe I got away with that. Oh my god. I fucked up the vent too, and he just didn't know it was me. That's really fucking funny. So right here, I'm considering how I'm going to I shouldn't use the Discord. I'll just speak on stream so that you can hear me without hearing the double. Right now I'm considering how I should play this, which is like, do I get a huge alibi and let Easy get a kill? Because I'm not really sure what's happening around the map right now. And I'm thinking to myself, like, do I go for kills? Do I just wander around? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just faking tasks, hoping that if I find somebody in a lone area, I might be able to get something off. Oh, and then this. Yeah, never mind. This is actually really funny. Hopefully Easy's just getting fucking crazy stacks right now, because otherwise I don't know how we're gonna win this.
Alright. Where's it at?
Weird spot, because I wanted to kill that round. I was eating my coom. He's a camera guy that basically doesn't do anything but watch cameras, and he gets at least one person to stack with him, which makes it very difficult to kill him. And when you have camera access, it's very hard to get good kills. But what I was doing at the medbay side was I was pretending like I was looking for venters, basically to determine if anybody was venting from one side, and I knew that people would see me doing that, and they'd question me, but ultimately that would make me seem more town in the eyes of xQc, who is the most important person for me right now to not piss off, because if he thinks it's me, the town could sheepvote me. That's my current logic.
Sure. Do you have any thought to, like, xQc said that I had dark pants on in round 1. He made know that it is me at the end of round 2 just by looking at my pants.
But I actually observed something during this round, and it ended up being true. I saw that Bloody, one of the people that he was hard accusing the previous round, was just following him around the entire time. So I wanted to see how he would like process that.
Oh yeah.
Meeting. Yeah, this meeting's fun.
That's very much a Bloody play, and it doesn't necessarily always go great.
Oh, let me tell you, Bloody makes this really fun. Let's just watch this. Really fun. Let's just watch this.
It's in cams.
Well, it's not Bloody. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. Yeah, wait. I'm gonna be very clear.
Were on.
This should not have been event kill based off of the timings that I had.
So, Yeti, what were you doing down there? It looked like you were running into the bottom wall in med.
I was, because I was vent camping from cameras and electrical.
Vent camping, Andy. Also, anybody seen Swizz in the area bottom?
No, I haven't seen him.
I've seen him coming out of electric earlier.
Yeah, so me and Easy, we went towards lights from cafeteria. Cams were on then. Then I went towards admin, and now I'm in admin with I don't know who was there, but yeah, I've not been near cams.
So where's this bunny?
I'm in admin right now.
Apparently it's in cams.
It's in cams where McConnell's is camping.
Yeti, I think you were the last person to reach lights, no?
I was.
Why did it take you so long?
Yeti, did you go left or right?
I went right out of her.
Or okay.
Annie, where are you?
I fixed lights both times.
Yeah, I saw her as I was coming in. I didn't see her before prior to that. What direction did you come from, Annie? Did you come from the left or the right?
She
came from reactor earlier. I know that she was doing Simon Says.
I did Simon Says, indeed.
Okay. Wait. Can we go off of the previous sus? Bloody, where have you been?
I have been on top of xQc.
It was the entire game, but there's only one kill, so don't full clear yet. No full
I'm worried about that.
That's actually why I think it's xQc, because...
Nah.
That doesn't make sense. No. That does not make sense.
You didn't kill anybody?
You're not going to get voted out.
I still think it's Annie and Bloody, but
I'm not trying to vote you out.
You'd be insane to get him voted there.
I'm not trying to vote anybody.
I don't think we vote here. My only...
I think it's still Annie, but I'm not sure about the other one at this point because it might not be Bloody.
It's not
my only info I can give is I checked on Yeti and Med. He was in there, so that's confirmed.
Yeah, he's been camping.
I left and then I actually went up and did tasks at the top of cafeteria, came down to admin, and I saw xQc Bloody together. I don't have any info besides that. Nothing good.
All right.
Fun stuff. So
I feel like...
Bloody following xQc around for some reason made her sus of xQc, which is insane to me. Like I couldn't believe that that's the direction that the conversation went.
Yeah, I feel like where was the deduction in that meeting?
I don't think there was any. And as imposter, I'm just sitting there like basking in all of the radiance of not having to worry about like deflecting what's going on, redirecting the conversation. I just got to listen to literally nothing happen.
Yeah, I think you did a very good job of, you were given an opportunity to like self-incriminate basically by being asked what you were doing, and you took your like slot in the conversation to ask other people questions that were basically meaningless for 30 seconds.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And those questions might not be meaningless in a future crew game, which is the really fun part for me.
Sure.
But as imposter, it's so meaningless to ask those questions. Like,
yeah. Yeah, if you were genuinely trying to determine who killed at cameras,
but I had no interest at all.
There are some reasons
because I knew it was a self-report.
Yeah. Do you think that was an instant self-report?
I think it definitely was. I never watched his perspective afterwards, but I'm pretty sure he walked in. He was like, maybe there was somebody else that was somewhat nearby. He killed and immediately self-reported.
And
it put him in a good spot though, because he killed the least sus person out of everybody. Because McConnell's just on cams, so he hasn't done anything the entire game. Nobody's gonna have any suspicion on him the entire period of time. And the fact that Bloody and Annie were both alive meant that Town was still confused. Town never votes on 7 there. Bloody pushing xQc made Town even more convinced that something weird is happening. And it was just the perfect place to be.
Do you think that should work? The thing where he just walked into the camera room, killed the person, and reported the body, and like no one was like, did you just do that? Like, doesn't seem like it should work, but it does.
I think it's a bit dependent on where the body is. Like, if the body's directly on cameras because he was on cameras and he died from a vent kill, that's actually a bad thing to do, to self-report that quickly, because the cams will go off and then, or they'll be on and someone will perceive the camera was on until the millisecond of the self-report.
Right.
But if you walk into there and McConnell gets off of cams, you kill, wait 1 second, and then self-report, you have a logical way of saying, I walked into cams, the doors were closed, and the body was on the cameras, and then people can think to themselves, vent kill. Perfect.
Although you were watching vents.
Mm-hmm. But I had already gotten off of vents at that point, so thankfully he didn't die early enough in the round that me camping vents was valuable, so it was okay.
Fortunate. Yeah, it's always very awkward when I take an information role as imposter and then I like see the other imposter kill on cams, and then the meeting starts and someone's like, hey, who's on cams? Did you see this kill? And I'm like, oh, I just got off them 5 seconds ago, actually.
I found that when you play a very powerful information role like the camera, you can't afford to be on it as imposter for that long. So at the most you do 10 to 15 seconds. More or less to get sus off of yourself. It's not really an intentional, like, oh, I'm gathering information kind of play, but much more about this was my position, and therefore you know where I was, and I should be hard cleared for this kill, even if you got it like maybe 10 seconds afterwards.
What do you think about the accusing crew of killing someone based on having seen them do it on cameras?
I think that's a route that hasn't been explored by imposters that much. Mostly because it's so dangerous. It's such a weird thing you have to do to get that off. Because not only does the crewmate have to be somewhat near the position of the body that you report that gets reported, because it's unlikely that it's unless your imposter partner self-reports, in which case you can maybe get a hard accusation off. But you also have to realize that if you fuck up the next round and maybe get a double kill, you're the first person gone. No one on cams gets that wrong. It has to be you. You have no way of backpedaling and saying, wait, they didn't actually kill, I was wrong. There's no way to escape that.
Sure. Plays like that feel like they must be very strong with like 8 left alive though, where you don't need... Maybe you do. I don't know. There's some point in the lobby where you reach a breaking point and it actually...
I think that
there isn't enough time left in the game for it to bite back.
The best time to do it is on 6 or 7, because then you can pull it off really well. I think that if you have an imposter partner who self-reports a body on, let's say, vitals of Polis, and you're a person on cams, and then you can immediately say, I saw someone else do it that was maybe alone, because you could spot them on cams. But I think that's a very underexplored option.
Yeah, I was playing in a lobby last night, and we entered a round of 6 with 2 imposters alive, and someone led the meeting by saying, I'm really suspicious of this person. And then another person said, well, yeah, I actually just saw them make this kill on cams, and Town voted immediately, 10 seconds into the meeting in a round of 6, without hearing any other evidence. And the person on cams wasn't like hard cleared at all. And just like
Yeah,
that's just a win already for imposters.
That's the ultimate method of using it. And it's not used that often because it requires so many things to go right. And so many things to go wrong for town as well.
Yeah. I'm always hesitant to throw town under the bus with lies as imposter because I think people are transparently town a lot of the time when you lie about what they're doing. A lot of the people I play with are obviously town when they're town and obviously imposter when they're imposter. Like
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
It's like two different people.
Yeah, and so that makes it very easy to beat them when they're imposter because you can just tell. But it also means that if you are imposter and you create that logical scenario where it's your word against theirs, all of a sudden they become like superhuman and you can't beat them because everyone can tell that they're sincere.
Yep. It's a very difficult place to be in. It was actually really bad in the beginning of this game, back before they had the ability to turn confirmations off, for me to play imposter ever, because I had a reputation in the lobbies due to scans and everything showing, right? And weapons and everything. I would be able to full clear like 6 people and probably deduce the imposter almost every single time in the beginning of the game. So whenever I was imposter,
right,
and I got somebody wrong, or I didn't offer up that information immediately, and I was somehow not being as effective as town as I normally could be, I was voted off almost instantly as imposter, even though I was still playing okay, because it was less of a social deduction game and much more about an information gathering game.
Yeah, it feels like against those people who become superhuman when they're town and you accuse them, you need to convince the other people that they're the imposter before they realize you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because once the other people think they're imposter, then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, they don't recognize that the defense is sincere.
My method for that is to put sus without saying it's them. I'll say, wait, what do you mean you were doing X, X, and X? That timeline doesn't line up. And then what are they supposed to say to that, right? Like, wait, but that's exactly what I did. And then people are like, does it really not line up? And they form their own conclusions, and then maybe next round you can push on it. But I think same round pushes off of information like that tend to backfire more than they tend to help you as imposter.
Yeah.
All right, let's watch the rest of this. This is I can't remember what happens from here. I can't remember what happens from here. Happen in this game because he's such a fucking monster when it comes to like everything pretty much. Yeah, his reads, his overall game plan, everything that's involved with that. I'm talking about McConnell and his camera usage. He very rarely gets it wrong, and he's on them for so long that as imposter, you have like such a limited route of things you can do. So right now I'm using the doors to block off the town into areas. They're all stacking like crazy, actually. Means I can't do anything. Oh, I do remember how I got this. Okay. I was very, very hopeful that my imposter partner there would not kill xQc. I was very glad that he didn't. That'd have been pretty ugly. Ah, I forgot that he was here. We're both on weird parts of the map. So here's my strategy. I'm going to call O2. I'm going to push the town away from the left side of the map where I'm pretty sure they're all stacking, and I'm going to wait for the first person to walk by and then kill the person behind them, and then hope that a report comes by relatively quickly. Obviously, I wouldn't want to self-report here, because then I would have been...
Oh no. I'm not hearing you through Discord now, but I paused your stream.
Can you hear me through Discord right now?
Yes. Yes, now I can.
Good. All right, well, let's just watch the rest of this.
Okay. I'll go back to the...
X is dead.
I called that because I had to call that because I'm worried about kill cooldowns and double kills and
I think that's completely fair.
Okay, seen xQc not even that long ago. So
Where?
Reactor the O2 got called, right? He goes into cams, and then I just go straight to top O2. I'm the one that does top O2.
Cams.
Wait,
So
there are four of
I
us
last
here,
seen
I
him in
think.
cams.
Yeah. I did bottom O2. I was there first, did it first. Who walked in on me? Who was that?
I did, and I turned around because I saw you and
Bloody
someone else
walked in
running on
with-
it.
Me and Bloody.
Where's Annie? Where's Annie? Where's Annie right now?
I don't
I'm in
know.
reactor, but xQc
You're in
was
reactor?
You're in
not
reactor?
in
Okay.
cams.
Okay,
Yeah.
in that case,
voting
I'm
her.
like 90% certain that Annie's one of them. I'm not sure about the other one. I want to
It's
discuss that
not
before we
me.
go further.
Swizzy,
Swizzny, where you saw him going to
I did
cams,
top
right?
O2.
All right.
Yeah, went into cams, yes, and then I went all the way right to top O2, and I'm the one that did it.
I don't know when you saw him
late,
go cams
Swizzy's
because
on
I didn't see him
top
at cams. I
O2.
didn't see him leave cams. Nothing like
Did
that.
anybody see Swizz cross cafeteria?
No, I
That's
didn't.
the first half, and then I lost him after I got lost.
I want to say it's probably not
Bloody and Annie were
Swizzny.
hard following. Bloody and Annie were hard following me the entire game. I kept trying to lose them like early game, but I don't know.
And then you saw
Yeah, who was
xQc,
one
and then
of
they
them?
were
So the problem is I'm okay. I'm okay if we're like if biggest sus is on Annie. I
Wait,
have
wait,
to call
wait,
this out though.
wait.
Easy. Where have
Yeah.
you been though all round? Like where did you go at the start?
At the start, I went right side, and I did my second part of my where you flip the thing sideways. And
Where did you end up?
I ended up in O2. I checked admin table.
Where you flip
Here's
the
the
thing
problem.
side, which thing?
Can
So-
I say something about the
I
switch?
think the
So,
combos
the
are.
camera was on.
On the right above shields.
The cameras were on for a long time. Me,
Yeah.
Bloody Swizz were on top of each other.
I'm
We were
voting
dancing in front of
Annie.
cameras, everything. I went there because the cameras went turned off. He wasn't there when I went left.
I feel like
Nobody
that's.
was left
on
when I went
No,
left.
we gotta vote her.
actually think it's easy.
I actually
They
gotta
went
vote
off.
Annie.
I'm voting
Why are
Annie,
you
but
saying
I'll
it's
vote
me when
Swizzy, I guess.
I've done all my tasks?
It's not me.
It is.
Why would I admit I'm in reactor after
I'm pretty
someone
sure-
says
it's
he's
genuinely
in
not
cams?
Annie. I think it's easy
No,
and
it's
someone
not
else.
me. I wouldn't
It
say
might
I'm
be
at
easy,
reactor.
Yeti. I think it might be easy, Yeti. I'm not sure.
A little bit too easy because the town kind of all
so
voted
that
there,
was just-
and Bloody had her own suspicions for some reason that just kind of all played into my hand. It was so silly actually because looking back at the logic that was put out in the meeting, there was none. There was actually none because Annie's admitting that she was in reactor when the person was last spotted alive near there. Why would she do that as town, right? And Swizzny apparently is just walking through the cafeteria. Nobody even asks where I am. Like the conversation was just completely meaningless. But
Right.
because of the previous rounds and the fact that Annie was kept alive by my imposter partner, because I was never going to kill her. The last person I wanted to kill in the entire game was Annie or Bloody. One of those two were the last people I wanted to kill. xQc was my number 1. McConnell was my number 2. And then we're in this circumstance where it's just so easy to dominate the conversation and kind of push the town in the direction you want them to be.
Yeah. Do you think in Annie's shoes you are meant to lie about your location there?
When the second that you hear that the person was last spotted in a spot like that, yeah, the number one thing you want to do is lie. You cannot afford to, as town, be near that location. Say that you were walking through storage, anything but reactor. Absolutely not. Not because now bear in mind if I was in a lobby with you, Hafu, 5up, xQc, and like 5 other people, and they were all really good players, like Train, I might admit that I was actually in reactor, but I wouldn't say it like her. I'd be like, yeah, I was on the Simon Says task. I didn't see him there. I'm actually worried that that's a misreport of the location by Swizzny. Now, in the end of the day, I would be third impostoring there if I said that last part. But, you know, it's the only thing I can do as town because ultimately my information's so bad because I'm in such a bad location.
Sure. And I mean, I guess the first thing to do is don't be there. But that gets into the whole thing about stacking versus, moving around the map so the game can actually be played.
What I would actually say is I was looking for the body. Why did you hit the button? Because that would be what I would
That's
actually
a very town thing to be doing, yeah.
Yeah. Because I would say the second O2 gets called, I run from whatever task I was doing before and I check the entire left side. Electrical, cams, reactor. No body found. Why did we hit the button? And then that's when you can start to like maybe redirect the conversation towards the people that are actually suspicious from before. Because you don't want to be in a circumstance where your alibi is, oh, I was going to O2, but I didn't get there. Because that's actually the worst possible location you can be as a town.
Yeah.
So lie, literally lie. In those circumstances, anything to get sus off of yourself in an efficient way, play like an imposter in that circumstance. Lie about what you're doing, because you can't afford to be doing that suspicious thing. You will be voted off. The town is at 6. There has been no one voted off. You will lose. You don't have a choice.
What do you think about... God, there was something else I wanted to ask you, but I don't remember what it was. But this thing, so Annie is away from the group in a way that allows her to be framed here. It could maybe have allowed her to be killed. Oh, I remember what the other thing was. We'll get to it next. What do you think about, like, is that a good place for her to be? Should she be looking for a body there? Sometimes in some of my games, we've gotten to a point where you call the emergency and then you just stand on the other side of the map and someone from town runs into you and you press the kill button. Because they like one person goes looking for a body by themselves on the other side of the map and just walks into you and dies.
Yeah, I would say that that's definitely a concern, but depending on whether or not the button is being hit, the emergency meeting, it can just be good, you know, to be looking for the body. Because if the emergency meeting is hit and there's like 3 people that did the emergency, like the reactor or whatever, then you know 3 people that were possible that were not there and 1 person that was there, and therefore it was the person that was not with the stack.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, you mentioned not wanting to kill xQc and cams earlier in the round. And from my perspective, the reason for that is that you are the people on cams. The cams lights are on. And so when xQc's body shows up in the cams room, it certainly looks terrible for you, plus all of town's on the right side of the map. But I just wanted to like say that out loud for people who are watching and might not make that deduction on their own.
Yep. xQc was my alibi. He was my town friend as imposter. The last thing I want to do is kill him in a location where when I know other people are on the other side of the map. Only when I call a sabotage would I want to make a play on him, because then the comms are muddied from there.
Sure. And you want him alive if you're going into a meeting where he's going to defend you.
Exactly.
But by the time that you kill him, you can create a meeting where he's not needed anymore, basically.
Yep. From the moment that I killed him, I knew that the town would be in a bit of chaos. Swizney would be sussed for the death of xQc, but Annie just happened to be in the worst possible location, and I pushed on her instead.
Sure.
So if Annie was not in reactor, I would have said, I saw Swizney coming from the top left of cafeteria. And then he can be like, wait, I didn't see you. And I'd be like, yeah, but I saw you because I was at the bottom of admin or some other location. And I saw you come from that direction. And that's where the xQc was last spotted alive. And then we can work on it. But because the emergency meeting was hit and Annie was in such a bad spot, it just all played into the imposter hands super easily.
In the meeting, you said you thought it was a good button. Do you actually think it was a good button?
No, it was horrible button.
Okay, yeah. I
mean, it's not the worst button, but you want to give at least 10 seconds after that to make sure that somebody can try to find the body. Because if xQc's body is found, it's better for town.
Yeah.
Now, the real question is, because it's on 6, and you hit the button because you're worried about somebody getting killed on the left and then everyone having to go to the right, how long do you wait? And that's the bigger question, like, as town. Do you give it 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or do you just insta-hit the button? Because on this map specifically, with all of the door locks blocking your way from getting back to the emergency button, how much time can you give yourself reasonably before the imposters have double kill and they kill 2?
Do you think it is better for town if another person dies before the meeting starts there?
So if there's 5 people left? It depends on who died. Because if
Annie
Bloody died, if Annie dies, wow. At that point, I need to push it on Swizney, but I felt like his alibi was really strong.
Okay. So
I would have been in a worse location.
It depends on how strong their alibis are. I think it's interesting that it seems like 3v2 is worse than 4v2 because you have fewer crew, but you also have 1 less crew you can accidentally vote on and 1 less crew who can accidentally be misled and vote wrong.
True.
So
I think that when you're considering those options, you also have to consider the chance of getting a vote tie. Because depending on the strength of that person in his town, you might be able to convince them to vote wrong. And as long as both imposters can team up, you vote tie and then force a double kill situation, which on certain maps is guaranteed. On other maps, it's harder.
For sure.
So I've noticed that a lot of people mess this up, but on Polus, if you are playing imposter correctly, you never mess up. You will always get the double kill. You can't mess it up actually. You just go to the left reactor. One person goes to the button, one person stands in front, and the person that's at the button kills first, and then the person in front kills second. That's all you have to do.
Can you... I feel like town can speedrun that. I feel like one town can get to left, one to right, and one to button fast enough.
And I've definitely messed it up before, but
cooldown.
it has a success rate of like much higher than anything on Mira or on this map.
For sure. Sometimes like
actually,
I have
now that I'm thinking about
audibled
it,
into
Mira,
lights
Mira
in my
might
life.
have the highest percent chance of getting the double kill.
In that one, you call reactor and you just stand on one side of it. And also it takes like 25 seconds to get there through the airlocks anyway.
Yeah. It's hard to say.
And then in Skeld,
you close the cafeteria doors, which is what I'm about to do.
Right.
So I'll show you the ultimate Skeld strategy. It's the only way to make it work 100% of the time.
All right. Your stream crashed for me, so I'll refresh the page. And then I will play your stream again. Oh, yeah. I have an ad. You know about Hardee's Prime Rib Reimagined?
No, but I've heard of Cactus Jack from Travis Scott.
I'm gonna sub to your channel so I never have to watch an ad on it again. This is what other people should do. Don't like ads? Support your streamers. Alright.
Alright, you're good to go?
Yeah, I'm pressing play right now.
I think it's easy
no,
and someone else.
I wouldn't say
it might be easy Yeti. I think it might be easy Yeti, I'm not sure.
So you close the cafeteria doors, and the timing is typically really easy from here. You just have to determine which door they're stacking on. And you can insta-hit it or wait, depending on what they do. So I'm going to give it like 3 seconds, and then boom. The game's over. They can't win. Even if they all ran there from the very start, they wouldn't be able to get there in time. So it's a guaranteed kill. Ta-da!
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
But that's only guaranteed on 5. On 6, obviously, you need to both get there and then hope for the double stack properly, but it can be difficult depending on the timing. Your partner's next to somebody, and then you just spam as soon as kill cooldown's off.
Yeah, and then there's like sometimes you both kill the same thing, and and then sometimes someone gets a report in, and they're like, "Oh, it's very obviously these two."
But as long as you spam it on CD and neither of you checks the button, it should work 100% of the time. It's only when somebody checks the button, which puts your CD a little bit further, that it can be messed up at that point. It's like hard.
One of my favorite wins ever was when I was in a 1v5 after my imposter buddy got voted off in something that was close to a 50-50. And I just like called reactor on Mira, ran into the airlock, 2 people stayed on button, and I just killed one of the people who came with me, reported, and said it was a failed double kill. And we just voted off the other 2 crew, and I won. It was great. Incredible.
That's
plus. Awesome. Alright, that was a sweet game.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about, like any other concepts?
Oh gosh. Let me see if my chat has any requests. I haven't opened up to chat questions at all. We didn't get a good game with like high suspicion imposter play. That's something that I would like to look at some point, although I don't want to do a third right now because I'm running out of brain juice.
This is actually a good question my chat has. What are your personal opinions on playing slightly weaker as town to make it easier to play imposter? Because I think that some people are actually taking that a little bit too far.
I do not try to maximize my win rate when I play this game, really, which is
not really the interest of why you play.
Well, yeah, I'm in like personally as a gamer, I'm in a weird place where I played poker professionally for a long time and was very competitive and just got burned out on that competitive toxic element of gaming. And so now I'm very chill. I like collaborative gaming. I like the thing we're doing right now where we're talking about a game and analyzing it. I absolutely love this. I love the social aspects of gaming. I don't really care that much about winning, but people see that I'm like pretty good at games, and a lot of people assume that I do care a lot about winning. I just like actually sort of don't. So a lot of the times that I'm playing Among Us, I am more interested in like, oh, I'm going to go this way because I don't really want to be stuck with 2 people this entire round. I think that's not going to lead to a very fun game, or you know, stuff like that. I think a lot of the time at high level Among Us play, to like actually answer the question properly in the way it was intended, I think once you get to a high level of play, you're not so much weakening your town play as you are successfully balancing your like deceptive range. So an example I would give is a lot of people might go hard clear themselves on medbay all the time when they're town. But an effect of that is that if you have not hard cleared yourself on medbay as town, it looks very suspicious because usually you do. Whereas if you're not a player who goes and hard clears on medbay all the time and you're in a suspicious situation, you can be like, well, yeah, I'm suspicious right now, but I'm not the sort of player who goes out of my way to hard clear myself all the time. It's not super atypical for me to be a little bit suspicious. That doesn't mean we have to vote me out here.
I think that I think that's a good point, and that's actually the mentality I have when it comes to quote unquote hurting my town play, because I know that there is in theory and in practice a method to more or less winning every single game as town, which would be to say, basically as soon as the round starts, you all go to the button and you hit the button, and then you say who has medbay. And then everybody goes to medbay scan, and then you get all the confirmations from medbay scan, and everyone's stacked there, and they're just watching and scan canceling and watching and making sure that everybody does it. And then you just go as a giant group to every single task, and eventually you get down to like a final 2 spot where you know who the imposters are. I think that that's a method that you could use to theoretically be the strongest possible town, right? Where you dictate all of these different things to do.
Absolutely, it would be hard to beat that.
Yeah, but in truth, there's these unspoken rules, these gentlemen's agreements, if you will, about what's permitted and what's not for the gameplay. Because there's a certain, like, personally, I have the skill set to, and I did this by accident yesterday, to confirm people based off of taskbar. I know how to do that.
I saw that
it's not
game.
Hard. You were watching that one?
Yeah.
I felt so bad.
It was
I have the ability to do that, and I don't want to do it, but
I
occasionally my eyes will drift up, and they'll see something happen.
I used to be there. It's been like 2 weeks for me though. I just stopped doing it. I just stopped looking at all, and it feels so good.
Yeah.
It feels so
Realistically,
good.
I should probably just like have a little thing there that so I can't see it myself on my screen, like a little piece of tape on my screen where the taskbar is supposed to go, so I just never look at it ever again. But I sometimes have that happen, and in my mind, it makes me a weaker town, but ultimately that's not really the point. And also, I used to immediately go to, I think when I first started playing with the EU group, with Hafu and everyone, I would immediately go to the lights every single round, and I would be either on the cams or I'd be pre-jacking lights. But I realized that with that stack, they became so reliant on me doing that if I didn't do that, I became instantly sussed out. And as an imposter, that's not like the easiest thing to fake doing every single time. So I would rather experience more ways of playing the game. So I stopped doing that, and I started doing tasks, or I started running around and checking admin table early. I have like a little pattern where I randomly choose one of them in my head, that I'm going to do that round. So I'll still occasionally go and pre-jack lights and camp cameras, but I won't do that every game. I might not do it every 5 games, but I still will.
Yeah, I have by far the most games on Paulus. I would say that like 90% of my games are on Paulus lately.
Yeah, that stack loves Paulus.
Yeah, and I like to like control the center of the map on Paulus, because as imposter, the vents are just very good from the center of the map. You can get to medbay and admin through vents, and you can get to cams pretty easily from the central building. And also you have the admin panel there, you have vitals there, so it's a great place to be as town. So I usually try to path through the center of the map early there. But I also just press tab at the start of the round and look at where my tasks are and just like make a decision about where I'm going to go based on where most of them are, and that just leads to me doing lots of different things and makes it fun.
Yeah, I love doing that as well. It's just a giant thing of like, it's kind of like balancing the game just in terms of like what you get to do as a player. Because you could choose to do the same thing every single time and therefore, you know, put suspect on yourself as town or, you know, basically full clear yourself. But there's a point where you don't get to experience the other forms of play and you don't get to have as much fun with the what you're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I have a question for you.
Sure.
What do you think about speaking with votes? So by that I mean snap voting at the start of the meeting, or putting a value vote on someone at the end of the meeting while everyone else is skipping, or
speaking of votes.
Or
so,
when you're like halfway through a meeting, if someone makes a really good point in an argument in a 50-50, boom, your vote goes down on the other person and everyone sees it happen.
I think that you have to do it sometimes. And when I say have to do it, I don't mean like it's required or anything like that, but rather that it should line up with how you play normally. And I'm a kind of guy that actually likes to snap vote a little bit. I'm a person that will say, I know who the imposters are. It's these two people. I'm gonna vote now, and then I do, and that's it. It's over. You know. I think that it's that way it gives you a little bit of leeway in the future with how you play it, because you can choose to snap vote in the future, but maybe you can do it as imposter. Or delay as imposter and then not do it then. You know, it gives you options. Do I think it's good? Is that the better question?
Yeah, the thing that's jarring about it to me is that the vote it's almost like yelling over other people without ever saying a word, because the vote is mechanically the loudest thing that you can say in a meeting. And if you place a vote without listening to other people, it's sort of like just saying, like, I don't care what you're gonna say. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, and I think that I think it's a good tool early. I think that regardless if you're town or imposter, doing it on 9 or 8 is actually really strong. And you should do it on occasion when you feel good about something, because it could possibly lead to an early vote as town, which may or may not be an imposter, which could be really strong for you. Or it could vote off a town as imposter, and that's really strong for you as imposter. I think that on 7 and 6, snap voters, there's an abrupt change, a 180 in how and what's going on there. Because when you start snap voting on 6, you can force the town to vote with you. And that is bad, because then maybe you didn't get all the information out, and 10 seconds later, the correct imposter will accidentally show themselves, and everyone will realize at the exact same time, crap, we got the wrong guy. But at the same time, if you do that occasionally as town, that gives you the option to do it as imposter occasionally. And if people trust you as imposter, they may also feel inclined to vote with you, and therefore vote out a town member, which you can then form a instant kind of like victory from there. It's hard to say. I think that as a total, I hate it when people do it, but only on 6 and 7 or 5. Can you imagine instant voting on 5? That's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you literally saw it happen, I can't imagine doing it. It's
even
just
if you saw it happen. So often on 5, it's like, I saw this person kill, and the other person's like, no, I saw that person kill. And then town deduces that there's like a third party who's a safe vote, and everyone votes there. And if you just snap vote at the start of the meeting, you lost that line. So
yeah, I absolutely agree. It's just hard. It is fun though. Occasionally you just say I already voted, and then just throw out the vote and see how people react to that. Sometimes it's fun to just vote and say, like, I'm not going to tell you who I voted. I voted for the real imposter. And then, you know, it adds a little bit of like fun social dynamics for people to try to figure out.
For sure.
Trolling around can be fun.
My chat has shown their friends this analysis stream and are now regretting it because they're going to lose all of their Among Us games now. Feels bad.
That's too bad. Yo, chat, do you have any questions?
I think this is such a good game, and it's such a good game for streaming, and it's such a fun game to be thinking about, and it has so much potential with things like the taskbar being removed and med-based scans being changed, and maybe addition of more maps and maybe like more unique sorts of information roles. I think would be really cool. Like not like a different role, but a different station that you go to that gives you some sort of information about the map, like cams, you know.
Honestly, the big question is going to be, where do the devs go with it, right? Because they have the ability to change the game in ways that can make it better. Did you watch any of the tournament yesterday?
Do you want my honest answer?
Yeah.
I was excited to see how 5UP did in it, because I really like 5UP. I just think he's a good person. And so I tuned in to his games and I skipped through the VOD to the start of his first game, and 5 people hard clear themselves off nav and keys at the start, taking turns, and I turned it off.
Oh yeah,
Yep, that was it.
I was talking to GDayMav about this because he was commentating with me for a little while. We both think that there's going to be a point where the devs have to make a decision about where's the balance going to be. Like, are they going to add options for competitive level balance? And what does competitive level even mean? And all these different questions, because ultimately this game is just really fun to play with groups of people that aren't taking it like, they're taking it very seriously, but they're not taking it like that seriously, you know? Like, I'm not trying to lose or troll when I'm playing the game. I'm trying to have fun and win at the same time, right? That's what I load in for. I would love to get imposter wins. I'd love to get town wins, but I'm also having fun with my friends and people that I met online recently, and I think that's a lot of fun to do.
Hopefully there will at least be toggleable options to take away taskbar and med-based scan. I feel like those are the 2 main requests right now.
Yeah, and then if they take away the taskbar, do they remove the sabotage for comms? What purpose does comms serve anymore for sabotage? It's already rarely used.
Yeah, very low.
But, you know, it's for the taskbar Terry's basically at this point. That's the last bastion of its purpose, unless you're trying to get rid of the cams.
I think the reason you sabotage comms is to style on people at the end of the game. You just hit comms instead of reactor, just like as an additional fuck you.
Yeah.
That's about it. I had I had one situation where I called comms. It was actually a very rare situation where I called a sabotage as a ghost imposter. Like, I'll only ever do that if I have information because I'm a ghost and I can see something else on the map, which causes me to, you know, do something drastic. And there was a kill on the admin panel and someone went to vitals and, you know, they're going to see a dead body and then go to the admin panel where the dead body is. And so I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll call comms here. And that bought an extra 15 seconds for the kill cooldown to come up, and we won. And it was...
That's so strong, actually.
Yeah. First time I've ever seen it do anything, though.
I've used it... So you watched the game with McConnell. I've used it against him a couple times because he will just sit on those cameras, but it tends to backfire because people realize that he's getting off of camps, he's going to be dead, and then I don't know, it's like so hard to use properly. 5UP tried to use it against xQc yesterday, but the second that he called the comm sabotage, I actually said I said out loud, he thinks that this is going to clear him because the sabotage will be fixed and then they'll see the taskbar go up, but it's going to backfire. And then 5UP got voted off for calling comms because nobody ever does that. And that was the only logic that anyone used. They literally said 5UP's the only person that would do this, and he was the only person on a task. We're gonna vote him off now. And then they killed him for it, and it was just instant. There was no thought process there. It was just no one else is good enough to even think about trying to do that. Which is like the Hafu voting me off for using doors. Come on, man. I'm just.
It is very obvious when you use doors, Yeti.
I'm just using doors, man.
I enjoyed watching that VOD you were just showing, and like 15 seconds into the game, you're like, and I'm just closing doors here to corral town into specific areas of the map. And I'm like, yeah, I would know it was you already.
Like, what am I supposed to do? Someone else should step into those shoes and try hitting the doors every once in a while. Come on.
I know. No,
I
you're
just
right.
want to play
you're
the
right.
game.
You're right.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, thank you for the chat. I'm gonna go have my afternoon
That was a lot of
nap.
fun.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for doing this. This is actually a lot of fun to talk about the theory.
Well, I'm down to do it again. This is something that I sort of do every week, basically, on my own, is just look at games that I've played, and I'll break down the meetings and look at how much time we spent on different things and look at the pathing during the day and stuff, and it's just really fun to look back at a game that was enjoyable to play the first time and then see it with a second reflective set of eyes and notice what could have been done differently or where the big pivot points were that you might not have noticed.
I absolutely agree. That it's just so fun to think about it. I'm pretty sure that like this kind of thing like slowly evolves the play in a way that's not like lame, and it just gets more and more fun because you can really start to like get further and further into the social deduction elements of the game itself.
All right. I want to do a game where there's an imposter play where there's a lot of suspicion on the imposter and somehow that gets converted into a win. And I want to do a game that's like almost entirely social cues.
Ooh.
Like there isn't a ton of logic involved, but just sometimes listening to the meeting, you just know who it is. And I really want to spend time like explaining why. Because in those games, they're very frustrating games to play, especially for the imposters, because it's just like two people are like, yeah, we sort of know it's you. And then they're like, why? I would love to defend myself if you have any questions to ask or whatever. And then they're like, well, just sort of know. Like there's no conversation there. So I think it would be really good to like break down exactly what the giveaway is that's happening in those sorts of situations.
I would love to look through those kinds of games as well. That'd be a lot of fun to like really dig into why it's a tell or not.
All right, sweet. Well, thank you for joining me, Yeti. If you're going to keep streaming, I'll just raid you.